Hi everyone. As I promised, I am recording this video to explain a little bit more about our term project. Of course, you can see the handout that I'm sharing on my screen on your D12. So if you go to the content tab and if you click on the term project, you should be able to see this handout right there. But I wanted actually to explain a little bit more because I wanted to keep the welcome video kind of short. So as I promised, I'm recording this one separately so you can also watch it whenever you are starting working on the project. So this is a microeconomic class. So obviously the topic that you pick should be also microeconomics. So before we of course talk about the project itself, I have to explain about the topic because that is the very first step that you guys are going to take. And let me make it a little bit bigger. Um, to start actually working on your project, which I hope that you find it kind of fun because I'm changing kind of things up this semester. And I typically ask my students in the past to write a term paper for their project. But this time I'm just trying to change things up. And instead of writing a paper, I'm asking my students to give me a presentation about their project and their research. So I really appreciate also your feedback. You can email me, of course, your ideas or how I can actually improve this part of the course. I really, really appreciate your feedback. Having said that, let me explain how this project basically works. So first thing is for you to find a topic, okay? And my recommendation to my students always is find a topic that you love because you are going to work on this project for the entire semester, hopefully for half of the semester, of course. Um, of course, it's kind of different in my face-to-face classes. I don't know how much time you guys are going to spend on the project, but hopefully a good amount of time actually will be spent on your projects because it's really, really easy to get a good grade if you work and put some time to the project. How you can find the topic. We should go back to our discussion about differences between microeconomics and macroeconomics because that's how you can also find a topic which is related to our class, which is microeconomics. Okay. So remember that in macroeconomics, we look into the economy as a whole. So we're focused on countries' economy, nations' economy. So we talk about things that are related to a country's economy, like GDP, unemployment rate, inflation rate, fiscal policy, monetary policy, Federal Reserve as central bank in the United States, and so forth. In our class, however, which is microeconomics, we look into the economy in more detail. So we are focused on businesses, markets, specific products, economy of a city. So let's say you want to do something about inflation, which is still hot. People are still talking about inflation rate. Still prices are high. So you cannot talk about inflation for the entire United States because that will be macro. But if you look into, let's say, the inflation rate over time in the city of Houston, or let's say you want to compare the inflation rate in Texas with another state like California, or let's say if you want to compare the inflation rate in Houston with Austin, you can do that. It is still microeconomics, but with a component of macro, because remember that microeconomics and macroeconomics, at the end of the day, they are related and they go hand in hand. Okay. So you can kind of use the macroeconomic topics that you might be interested and you might heard about them also in this class, but you have to be very careful how you're going to do that. Another thing that you can do for your topic would be that you can focus on a specific business, okay, a specific firm, a specific company. Let's say you want to focus on Costco and how Costco basically works, because we will talk a lot about um, profit maximization, cost production for the third part of our class, which is micro, obviously. Of course, the second part of our class is also micro. But we will also talk about different markets. So you can argue which specific market, let's say Costco belong to, talk about the characteristics of that market. Um, you can do some research about Costco, the competitions that Costco might have, um, things like that. Or you can talk about a specific market, okay? You can focus on, let's say, housing market and see what happened, let's say, in the housing market in Houston over time. For the last 20 years, we had COVID, we had um, I forgot the name of the hurricane that we had that actually I had my daughter at that time. My daughter was at that time 1 month old. Um, oh my gosh, I'm really, really bad. My brain is just like blank. But you can look into historic events, natural disasters, and how they impacted, let's say, the housing market. What is the inflation rate in the housing market? What are your predictions? How you can deal with the problems we have in the housing market? Um, things like that. So these are just like, or you can focus on a specific Harvey. Now my brain is working. Hurricane Harvey. Um, or you can focus on specific, let's say, product. Okay, a specific product. Let's say I had a student in the past who talked about Apple products. They compared it with Samsung, how they compete with each other, the share in the market, prices, profit, um, factors that can impact the production for both companies. And it was very, very interesting. You can do that too. So in economics, as you will see throughout this class, that we use math, we use charts, we use graphs. So I want to see those also in your project. So when you choose your topic, make sure you are also finding a topic that includes all of those things. You can also propose a problem, microeconomic problem, and then explain the problem and provide solution for it. So going back to the housing market, you can explain, you can propose that, or I should say explain the problem that we have in the housing market. Let's say for city of Houston, you can talk about the scarcity we have in this market, high prices that we have in this market, and propose some sort of solution for that problem. Um, so these are all microeconomics. So I'm just throwing out some ideas. It doesn't mean that you have to pick the things that I just named, the topics that I just named. I'm just giving you ideas. I want to make you basically familiar with these topics because I know that by the time that you are giving me your topics, which would be February 16, is right here. We probably didn't start any micro chapters, but again, I'm just giving you ideas. I highly, highly recommend you guys to look over the textbook. For those of you who took macroeconomics, and I probably mentioned it in my welcome video, there are some topics that are common between micro and macro, and you will see that the first 5 chapters of our micro class are exactly the same as macro, especially if you took your macroeconomics with us at Lone Star um, College Online, or at Sci-Fair, because we use the same textbook in these 2 campuses. You will see they're exactly the same because these are the topics that are kind of foundation of economics. That's why they're common between micro and macro. But if you look at the textbook after chapter 6, they're all micro topics, so you can get really, really good ideas about the topics that we cover in our class in the future. I would definitely encourage you to watch news, listen to the news. I love listening to podcasts when I walk my dog. Um, you can get tons of ideas from, if you are a podcast person, of course, you can get tons of ideas from podcasts. Just, again, the slightly business, slightly economic podcasts. You can get lots and lots of ideas from those. Um, so that is the very first step. And the good news is that I'm going to read your topics and I will give you feedback. So it's not like that you're giving me your topic. You're not giving me your topic. You're just starting working on your project. That's not how it works. I have to approve your topics. If I don't get your topic and you start working on your presentation for the end of the semester, and I do not know about your topic at all, because I will, when I see you didn't submit your topic, I will send you a message that please give me your topic. However, you are not going to get the credit for it, but I should still read and approve your topic. So you are going to lose points at the end. So make sure you are, first of all, you are giving me your topics on time, because topics has 10 points out of 100 of your project. And again, read my comments. If your topic is not doable, I'll let you know. If your topic is macro, I will let you know. And of course, at that time, when you're giving me your topic, I don't really care about your topic being 100% micro. I just want you to have an opinion about it. Of course, just don't throw out like Costco. Costco is not a topic. You are going to tell me what exactly you are looking for in Costco. I will definitely deduct point for that. You have to have a research question when you give me your topic. In your topic, in a Word file, you are going to write your name, our course information, which is microeconomics, and the section number for our class. And then you are going to give me a research question. What is it that you are going to do for your project? Again, one word is not a topic, is not a research question. You should have a statement, okay? One statement, and bam, you are done. That will be your topic. If you know how you are going to provide answer to your topic, to a research question, put it there. I really appreciate it, but it's not required, okay? But you need to have a complete sentence for your topic. So when I say topic, I mean research question, okay? When you get my approval, you can start working on your project. So you are going to dig more into the research question that you are giving me. Let's say your research question is about, again, the housing market, or let's say the inflation rate in the city of Houston. So your research would be digging into historic data of inflation rate for the city of Houston. And then you are going to, let's say, look into 20 years of data. You are going to look at the changes, the factors that impacted inflation, because again, inflation rate is also a problem. So what were the solutions over the past? And of course, right now, the inflation rate is still high, as you can feel it when you go, especially grocery shopping. So what are your solutions for high prices right now? So this is your research in nutshell, but you are going to look and read some papers, academic papers, and if you um, look at you look at the syllabus, you will see that I explained it should be, this is the college level project that you're doing. So you are not going to, I think I put it somewhere here. Let me find it. For your sources, you are not going to use YouTube. You're not going to use dictionary. Oh, right here. YouTube is not a scientific source. I need to see peer-reviewed papers as your citation when you are giving me your presentations at the end. In Wikipedia, it's not a scientific source. I do not accept that. It's okay if you want to use news, but make sure that your news is fact checked. I do not accept news from random news outlet, and even the news sometimes are not really accurate. If you want to work, let's say, with inflation, you are going to use the data from reliable sources, economic sources. Bureau of Labor Statistics, for instance, is the institution in the United States that provide data like inflation rate, unemployment rate, cost of living, things like that. So you are going to work with legitimate sources, legitimate databases. I do not accept random databases that are not valid. So do not Google anything. Google can lie to you, okay? Because I will go and check with my sources that I know that are valid, okay? If you are working with a specific data and you don't know where to get it, please let me know. and I'm going to actually, now that I'm talking, I'm going to add this to my to this handout that I'm actually showing you. So when the course is started, you can actually see um, more information. So CIA Factbook is a great source for data and statistics. Bureau of Labor Statistics, as I mentioned, would be a great source. But again, depending on what type of data you are going to work, you can shoot me an email. And if you're finding another source, let me know. I can check and see if those sources are legitimate. Okay. If you're not working with data, with the statistics, that's still okay. But most of you will, honestly, trust me. Econ is just, data because we are proving things. So we need to have some sort of validation for our claims. And we do that mainly with math, data, and the statistics and graphs. But even if you do not have that for your sources, I need to see at least 5 scientific sources in your research, in your presentation. Okay. Um, as I mentioned earlier, instead of asking you guys to write a paper for me, I'm asking you to make a PowerPoint presentation, and then you are going to talk over that presentation, just like what I'm doing right now. And I'm recording everything in Zoom. And of course, I have a YouTube channel, so I send it there. So it's there for you to watch it anytime that you go to my YouTube channel. But I also put some tools, recording tools for you that you can use if you want to record yourself. And then you can just email me your, not email me, sorry, you can just um, send me um, send me your, as I put it here, your video file, MP4. It can be unlisted YouTube. You don't put any restriction on it because I should be able to click and just watch your video. And I know that also we have some tools under in our D12. I forgot the name. I do not use it, but I know some of my colleagues do. If I get some information, more information, I will definitely share that also with you. But Google Drive also has a shareable link, so you can also use that. It should be anything that doesn't require a password or a specific permission from you. If I get that type of error, sorry, at that time, at the end of the semester, I don't really have time to contact every single one of you. So then you are going to just miss the grade. So just make sure that I can click on the link without a specific permission and I can just watch your video. Okay. So when you are giving me your final project, let me go up in here. I need two things from you. I need a PowerPoint, okay? And I need a video, okay? Video, you're going to talk over presentation, but I need still to have your PowerPoint presentation. How long you should talk? Maximum 15 minutes, minimum 10, okay? I don't need fancy, recording, anything like that, but I need to see your face. Of course, it would be a tiny little thing up there, but at the beginning, I need to see your face when you just start, then you share your screen, and then you can just talk over your presentations. Remember, the best presentations are those that we put few information and then we talk more. I don't want you just to read from presentations. I want you to explain your findings while we're talking over each slide. Okay. There is no limit for the number of slides. I'm pretty sure you will ask me that. It depends on how much information you want to put. Especially for my face-to-face classes, I always tell them you have 15 minutes. And let's say you want to talk like 1 minute over each slide. So, and of course, your first slide is always your name and your research question or the title of your project. And the last one typically is like a thank you with your sources, citations. So let's say you have 15 minutes. So you should have at least, I want to say, like 17 slides, especially if you want to talk 1 minute over each slide. Okay, so it depends on you. Don't put few, don't put too much. Okay, I will deduct point if you go beyond 15 minutes, and I will deduct point if you go less than 10 minutes. Okay. In your video, and of course, that will be the format of your PowerPoint, you are going to give a small, of course, background about, after, of course, introducing yourself, your title, and your research question. You are going to talk a little bit about the background. I will explain about the background more because that's also week 8 homework or assignment. So you are going to basically talk about the methodology, how you are going to provide answer to your research question. What are the tools that you are going to use? You are going to give some introduction and also background about the topic that you have. Then you are going to explain your thesis. Um, Also, again, 2 and 3 are things that you're also going to give me in week 8 of our class, because I want to make sure that you are working on your project and you're not waiting till the end of the semester to give me your final draft. So 2 and 3 are those things that you are also going to give me written. However, though, it is not going to be a video 2 and 3, part 2 and 3 of your basically presentations. There will be a written assignment that I will explain. Then you are going to discuss your major findings. If you have data charts, that's the part that you are presenting them. You are going to explain what your findings mean. If you had any sort of limitations, let's say working for data, missing data, I don't know, any type of limitations that you had when you were doing your research, that's the place you want to also explain. And then you are going to have a conclusion and summarize everything, and then you are done. Okay. And again, the last slide would be your citation, your sources. Okay. Um, that's it. Few things, and of course, this is the rubric. You can look at it. Few things. Please, this should be an original work for you. Hopefully, you will have fun doing your project. Um, Again, it should have economic language in your presentation. This is again an college level presentation, so be mindful of that. And again, I hope that you have fun. The key to any successful, in my opinion, research is topic. Find a topic, as I mentioned at the beginning, that you really care about, that you really, really enjoy. If you are bored working in the presentation, I will be also bored listening to you at the end. Trust me. If you are excited about it, I will feel it. Okay. Or anybody who will look at your presentation would know. That's pretty much it about the presentation, but let me go to week 8 assignment that I just explained, because I also put it here on the syllabus so you can learn more about it. Let me just find where I put it actually. Not here. Of course, this is today is January 4th, so I'm just kind of ahead of my my planning. I still have time to change things. Oh, right here. But I will actually explain more. Actually explain more in this episode. I think I forgot to add that. So week 8 is the week before spring break. This is the week that we study chapter 8, and chapter 8 will not be part of your final. It is just a reading chapter for you. I will not ask any specific question from chapter 8. This again, it's just a reading one. That's why I put this week, which is kind of middle of the semester, because this is a 16 weeks class, where I want you to work on your project, and I want to make sure that you are working on your project. Basically, I should say that. For week 8, I need you to submit your introduction and background for the paper. It has a 30 point, again, out of 100 of your project. And then of course your presentation and your PowerPoint would have 60 points of your presentation together. I will decide, of course, how much I will put for presentations and for your video, and it will be on the syllabus, of course. But this is the week that you are going to give me basically the first part of your presentation. Okay. By this time, you know if I approved your topic or not, and this is the part that you are going to find more about your topic. You are going to dig more into the background, what methodology you are going to use for your paper. Um, so it's good actually that I'm recording this video. I will definitely add that. Okay. This is the week before Thanksgiving, sorry, before spring break. But the deadline for week 8 would be right after spring break. Okay. So I was just like, okay, maybe I should put it here for 16th. So I put it for 23rd. You basically have 2 weeks to work on week 8, to be honest with you. You have the entire week here and then of course spring break. But don't miss it, because if you miss it, I'm not gonna open the Dropbox for you. Okay. There are Dropboxes. It's good again. I mentioned Dropbox. There are Dropboxes, but I showed you, of course, in my welcome video. But um, let me go back in here. Sorry. Where you can submit your topics as well as your presentation and your video. So if you go to course activities and then go to assignment, you should be able to find the Dropboxes there. Do not email me anything. Dropboxes will be closed after the deadline, and I will not accept late work. So please just be mindful of the deadlines. Put them on the calendar. Of course, there's also a calendar on D12. Whenever you log in, you should be able to see the calendar there. That's pretty much it. Let me know if you have any question about the project, and I hope that you have fun. Take care.